Do you remember the very first day when I met you in my class?
I do.
Yeah. What's the very first thing that I'd said to you?
Well, we go around the room and we have to introduce ourselves and explain kind of what we did previously and why we chose the trucking industry. And just kind of briefly went through, this is my first job after I played professional baseball before this. So he jumps on he jumps on the internet and finds all this stuff out. And I was like, what are you stalking me? He was like, so you struck Barry, and this is this is back pre-coronavirus. So the classes were full. I think we had 12 or 13 people in there. Yeah. So it's, I'm trying to be quiet, and I'm kind of over here in the corner. I'm not really an outspoken person when I get around a group of people. I'm kind of quiet and off to myself. And he just, again, throws me under the bus in front of everybody. And here I am, I'm like, yeah, what are you doing over there? So in the class, he's over there Googling me on my stream.
And he was a very humble guy. So that was, 2.5 years ago?
Yeah, it's not something that I just, I don't go out and just, hey, by the way, I've done this and I've done, no, it's not.
So the reason why I bring that
awesome.
up is, we've talked about your career in baseball, and you took time off. You had some other opportunities to even coach.
Right.
Telling me, and you turned those down. You said, hey, I wanted to take a step away from baseball because traveling and doing all that, man, I get it. It consumes you. And you got into trucking. And I remember this story of when we were at lunch and you told me, because I asked you, why? Because being around a group of dudes and you're traveling, I mean, those are your friends. And you'd go do anything for them. And you told me the story of why you wanted to get into trucking. You want to share with everybody what that is?
Sure. Part of it is because I missed, during my playing time, I missed a lot of the pregame, postgame stuff and just inside the locker room and talking and sharing stories with your teammates. And you get to know everybody really well. It's a small community. You guys are a family.
Right.
And that's kind of how it is in this industry with Knight and the driver's lounge. You know what I mean? If you want to go in there and you want to sit down and share your stories or hear other stories from other drivers about stuff that they're experiencing, it's kind of like it gives you that family type feeling, just the way the locker room did. So that was kind of one of the things that kind of drove me, to this side of it, because you kind of get – it's a small way, I guess, to hold on to baseball, I guess. I don't know. It's weird for me, but it's like you have –
still had that family. That
locker room back when I played is the driver's lounge now, you know what I mean? So it's kind of the same type thing. So
it's funny.
That's
I
awesome.
still have your text messages in the very beginning when you started trucking. You came out of the school and you were just about to throw the towel in.
I was frustrated.
You were frustrated.
You guys have, I mean, for the people that don't know the ports, I drive ports, the ports division. So yeah, it's a fast pace. If you're going to make, a decent amount of money and throw some decent amount of miles in each week, it's a fast paced drive like your hair is on fire type situation. And a lot of situations are out of the driver's control. There's just so many things that drivers can't control, like stuff that goes on inside the ports with, anywhere from what you're pulling out could be in customs. They won't release it. Like there's so many things that could go wrong.
What port do you drive? What's your route? What do you do?
Just Phoenix, Long Beach.
To Long Beach?
Every now and again a beef run, which is Phoenix, maybe to Kansas.
Got you a little longer of a run.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like there's a lot of stuff that's out of your control. And my first week being released into the ports on my own, everything that could possibly go wrong went wrong.
Well, at least you got it out of the way.
And I was so frustrated to the point, and Amy Diaz, bless her heart, she's my DM. I told her I was going to give her a shout out. I love you, Amy. I know she puts up a lot with me, and she'll be the first one to tell you. I like to have stuff planned out. I'm by the book, like to have stuff set up. Well, the ports doesn't always work like that.
Right.
So with that right there, I want you, with that thought, everybody thinking that the ports, Phoenix to Long Beach, 377 miles. The ports is closed on the weekends in Long Beach. Okay? Describe to people what it's like when you get through those 12 to 15 lanes, the gates, you get into the port of Long Beach. Describe to people that have no idea or have never been out there what that's like and what you felt and experienced.
I wish I would. It's amazing. It is something you can't really explain. All you hear is there's trucks honking. There's, You know,
It's madness.
Chaos.
it is
Madness.
it is really a jungle. Like, it is every man for himself. It's a 12-round boxing match. It is like it's everything that. But I love it because it's like it's chaos, but you have to kind of navigate your way through the chaos and the whole ports. Especially if you go. Sometimes you get lucky enough to go into a port that's not very busy, but sometimes you go into ones where if they have a couple pedestals shut down, or maybe there's a couple of machines broke on the inside, it is.
Every man.
And I remember the
can't
day
even
that you
explain it.
turned the corner and things started looking up.
Right.
Because there was a downtime there to where it's a beast, and a lot of people don't
There's
know
an
that.
adjustment period. There is.
Right.
There's like, I mean, you literally have to give yourself a couple months to kind of learn the system, learn how things are ran and how they do things inside the ports, how everything's set up. And it took me a while, but I remember when I called him my first week, I was like, Will, because we developed a pretty decent relationship from the time I was in the Squire school. And he was the guy that gave me, he was like, if you ever need anything, call me. I'll kind of coach you along the way, help you out. And I remember texting him, like, Will, I don't know if I can do this, man. Like, I've already hit my breaking point. It's been a week and a half or whatever it was, a week and a half. And he told me, he was like, just hang in there. He's like, just give it a year. And if things are still going the way it's going right now for a year and you're not happy with it, you can decide to do something else or change divisions or whatever it is you want to do. But he was like, just give it some time to kind of settle in to get, you know. And
Yeah,
we sat down and talked to you. Remember, you and I and Scott. And like, I was really serious. I was like, I'd had it to the point where I was like, this is it. I can't do this anymore. But
Right.
I don't know. It's just one of those things. I've never really quit anything. Like, usually stick it out to the end. So it was like that kind of bothered me. And I was like, I can't just quit and walk away from this. I got to give it a decent shot, you know?
Yeah.
And it did. It turned around and things are great. I love it now. I got a very good relationship with my DM, Amy.
Amy Diaz is awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Amy, I'll give you a shout out too.
She's she's one of the main reasons I'm still here. Like, that developed the relationship that I've developed with Amy, and
people
just working
follow
with her.
people
That's awesome.
and jobs, and they stick with them. It's not just the company; it's the people inside the walls.
It's almost like she feels the pain that we feel when we're out on the road, when things, you know, and it's kind of that. I mean, I don't think drivers need to be coddled, but it's nice, you know. She gives you that kind of that motherly or sister
She has the empathy.
yeah, you know what I mean, that most people can't give. And she, you know, she'll always be like, I'm so sorry, you know. And it's, you know, you think about it and you're like, oh, okay, you know, things are better.
So you're 2.5 years into it, straight out from knowing nothing, green as you could be.
Oh, yeah.
And what do you do currently with the company? Not only do you drive, but who else do you get an opportunity to
Can
work
you believe
with?
that? These guys actually let me train someone.
Training other people.
That is
So
awesome.
that is a
I mean,
cool-
how cool is that? Can you imagine to say, especially if you're a baseball fan?
They're probably not if they don't
I
know like
got-
you.
Well, do people? I would have guessed.
Do they
would
Google you?
recognize you?
No, you know what? For I guess the last 4 or 5, most of them haven't really been sports fans, or I don't even know if they even knew. Like,
Should have requested new students.
I think the conversation may come up. The conversation may come up as we go along, because you have a lot of time in the truck with these guys.
Oh, yeah.
So, you know, obviously you're going to find out what they do or what they did, and they do the same thing with you. So it eventually comes up, but no, it's never been like, most of them aren't usually either baseball fans or they're not sports.
Well, I've
fans
talked
in
to a
general.
couple of your students, and they say nothing but high marks,
Really?
about
That's
you
good.
and how you teach people. So
That's awesome.
They say you're a very patient person.
Yeah, and it does. It takes a lot of patience.
So for people
Without a
out
doubt.
there that's
A lot of
listening or watching, what advice would you give for people new coming into the industry? Because if you, a baseball player, can take something and do a complete 360 instead of pitching a baseball at a live target, now you're going into a truck where you're isolated, you're away from home, you're having to put up with traffic, weather, customers. What
Sports.
advice?
Sports, especially on top of all that. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be something that you have to think through and really research it, because a lot of people, they can't do it. They think it's this great money and they get to travel and do it, and it is, but you have to put in the time, and you definitely have to put in the miles if you want to make that kind of money and have that kind of home. And a lot of guys aren't willing to make that sacrifice.
Right.
And they don't realize it takes that kind of sacrifice when you get into the business. Because I didn't initially. When I got in, I was like, oh, I'm going to get to drive back and forth, travel around, make great money. Wasn't like that. When the wheels aren't turning, you're not making much money.
Yeah, when they come into my class and they say they're in ports, I try to scare people to death. It's like Monday through Friday, okay. Well, you realize that Monday through Friday is going to be the hardest Monday through Friday job that you've ever experienced.
And I thought I did as well. I thought when I went into ports, I was like, oh, I can handle it. And then my first couple of weeks, I was already. Well, and that's how a lot of people. I think maybe most people should probably maybe drive in first. Like right? Ports, to be honest, ports just isn't for everyone. And a lot of the drivers, with the company, will tell you like a lot of them know that that's something they didn't want to do in the beginning, so they didn't even try it.
They want the freedom of the home time.
Right.
Weather the storm. Everybody's got to weather the storm, man. It's not going to be pretty. It's going to be rough. But if you can make it past that storm right there, you come out smelling pretty good.
And it's still rough at times. Like you're always going to go through issues inside the ports because there's, like I said, there's stuff you just can't control inside the ports. But a lot of people that think the home time is appealing to them. They think they're going to get home, every weekend. Everything's going to be great, and it is. That's the good part about ports. But you got to deal with a lot of other stuff that you wouldn't think that you would have to deal with. So it's like just got to stick it out.
Wow.
Well, I think Knight made a good choice in having you as a mentor.
I appreciate
it. To make other drivers just like you, because that's what the name of the game is, man. Have a reflection of how you do things.
Thank you for watching that clip. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more clips like that, please click here.
Or if you'd like to check out a full episode, click here.
And don't forget to subscribe to us on
YouTube.